Welcome to Web3 and Me, presented by FLOLiO. I'm your host, Jeremy Weber, joined as always by my man in the Netherlands, Dan Bondelak. On today's show, we're going to be recapping the last week in the NFT market. Things feel strangely bullish at the moment. I don't know if it's just a trap or if we're going to see a little bit of recovery in Q4, but we're going to dive into that. Before we get started, please like this today's show, subscribe to our channel, head to FLOLiO.com for all of your NFT portfolio management needs. Nothing we say today is financial advice. We are giving our opinions on the market and the projects we like the best. Do your own research before buying anything. Dan, how are we doing today? I know you're getting ready for a bougie little vacation to the French Riviera. So how's everything over in your neck of the woods?
Good. Yeah, like you mentioned, leaving on Sunday to southern France. We'll still be working there. The show must go on. But yeah, I mean, feeling good. A lot of excitement in the market now. It's been very, very still and boring for the last 4-5 months.
Yeah,
I feel like nothing happened at all. So like I look back at some purchases I've made and it's like, wait, I bought this 10 months ago. It's like, what happened, Yeah, feeling good. Most of my like heavily invested projects are up big time. Happy, feeling good.
that is awesome. Yeah, it's been fun, man. It just was getting really boring, and I think we're seeing signs of life, and maybe we're seeing traditional financial markets find near a bottom. Maybe we're seeing crypto find that as well. Who the hell knows? But if that's the case, and if we continue to see ETH chop sideways like we have, that is usually a good sign for NFTs. We normally see the NFT markets take a shit when ETH either takes a big run up or a big drop down. So this sideways movement is really good in the NFT markets. It's good for floor prices. It allows people to increase their ETH bags if they're confident in holding that long term, or cash them out if they need that money. So it's a good time, I think, to be active in the market, but still selective, right? Like the days of minting any and everything and seeing it go up in price are long gone. Those days are probably never coming back, but there are still wins to be had. And we're going to get into kind of, what you and I are looking for those wins later in the show after we recap the last week. So let's start on the financial side of things. I'm going to pull up the 1 week volume chart over on FLOLiO, and we're going to kind of talk about the projects that have had the best week because there are quite a few. Let me pull up that Chrome tab real quick. So here we have it, near the top, Ranga again. We'll get into that. We see this Kataro World project, which ran up to 0.5. It's now back around like the 0.2 area. It's seen a ton of volume over the last 7 days. It's seen a lot of sales over the last 7 days. So I think there's some, I don't know if there's a whole lot of potential there for it to go back up. It may have done its one-time pump and now it's over. But if we look here at CloneX, the news that CloneX, is going to dive deeper into their storytelling, they're calling it Clonetober. The belief that there's a token drop coming has led to a very solid recovery in the floor price of CloneX. I'm going to pull their charts up real quick.
I think it was like 6 to 8 or something.
Yeah, it's just under 8. If we look at the 1 week volume, unique ownership, look at this ownership chart. That's actually very strong. It's only a 0.5% increase, but it's still, 53 more people own a CloneX than did a week ago. Let's look at a month out. That one's even better, an extra, 120 or so unique holders, which is really good. You love to see that if you're, big into a project, unique holder count going up. We look at volume. Volume was really good on the 5th. It's been, consistent the last few days. And let's zoom out to a month there. I mean, that's a pretty good 4-day stretch over the last month, right? That's the best 4-day stretch they've seen. So I think there's reason to be bullish. Let's look at the floor price too over the last month. That's a very,
Boing.
You can't argue with a 33% floor price gain in a month. Like, in a time where the stock and crypto markets are down 20, 30, 40, 50%, to get a 33% 33% recovery in floor price on CloneX in 1 month is really good. And it goes to show like some of these projects, there's still money to be made in the NFT market just because people overreact to a lot of things.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. It's true. And just because there's like a bear market currently doesn't mean there's still, gains to be made.
Yeah, 100%. There's definitely games to be made, and you can go back and forth on Clone X. Like, yes, Nike has had people pay for shoes and stuff, but they also did the monolith drop, which got people free things. And my Wi-Fi is now slowing down. God bless it. Gotta love it. I do have some new stuff coming. Hopefully, iron out these connection issues. But back to CloneX. It just goes to show that like these projects that do have strong teams that are backed by someone big like Nike, they could totally go down. And could this be at 5 ETH a month from now? It's sure it's a possibility. But I think if that's the case, then probably everything else has taken a big dump too. So I don't believe that we are in a position where Clone X is going to underperform the market as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, with projects like these and Bored Ape and stuff, like a part of their floor price is the overall sentiment around NFTs as a whole. And that's just because if you have so much money behind a project, they could essentially do anything they want to, right? They don't need secondary volume. They don't need to sell stuff. They don't need to mint out in order to have capital. So it's always pretty interesting to see all these like heavily backed projects kind of increase in floor price. I think it's also reflective of the market as a whole.
Yeah, I agree. Another one that we can talk about as far as projects that have had a good week is Genuine Undead. I believe that was a free mint,
Yeah, it
a
was.
month or two ago, and it has had a really, the floor price has bounced around, but it's at 0.4 now. I don't know a ton about this one. Can you give me a little background on it?
Yeah, I know a little bit about it. So apparently they minted on August 14th,
Okay.
and they they've had some ups and downs, and then let's see when is the latest. So on around October 5th, they were about zero point 0.2 something. So they almost doubled in a few days, which is nice to see. I don't know much about it. A lot of people are saying like, "Oh yeah, the community is so great." Like, so people are apparently very bullish on the people in the project, and they've had 500 sales today. So it's a lot. 500 sales at this current price. So that's a lot of ETH.
Yeah, that's we. I'm pleasantly surprised with this one. I don't own any of this, but I think it's really cool to see a project that we saw the We Are All Gonna Die one like a few
Yeah, yeah,
months
yeah.
ago, and some of these other free mint projects that had a run up and then just totally took a nosedive. And so it's pretty cool to see one that has continued to to hold some value. Like I'm looking at We Are All Gonna Die now, and the floor price is at like 0.11 from
That's rough.
from a high all time. I think it got over one. Yeah, yeah. Jesus, it got to like 1.5 this was back in June. Um, which like NFT time we talked about before, mess with your head. That feels like simultaneously it was yesterday and 5 years ago. I don't
Yeah.
know. I feel like my brain has been totally wrecked by the NFT market. But yeah, Genuine Undead doing well. I'm gonna let you take the lead and talk about Wolf Game. I'll go probably use the bathroom for the next 5 to 10 minutes and let you talk Wolf Game.
I was actually thinking you could maybe pull up the collection on our website because I think I've talked enough about Wolfgame. So let's
Okay.
focus on the facts here, on the numbers,
Which
because
which Wolf Game collection would you like me to bring up? The
any
Wolf Game, Genesis Land, any of God, that means it's good if Dan wants me to pull up any of the charts.
it
Let's
all
look
the
at this
same. They're all
Wolf
the
Game.
same.
They're all the same.
And I would advise to like zoom out for like 2 or 3 months. I think it's a very very interesting chart.
Let's bring up the land. I want to look at the Wolf Game land. Why don't you
Yeah.
go on to an exchange? How's the token doing?
Yeah. So the token is currently around 6 cents,
Okay.
and that let me check real quick. I think it was like 3 cents a few days ago. So So
Okay.
they went up from September 26th, where it was 3 cents, to currently 6 cents.
Okay.
And over the course of the last 3 months, it went from around 1 cent to 6 cents. So that's, a hefty increase. I actually called it in an alpha group
Okay.
2 months ago, and
Oh
since
yeah.
then everything has doubled. So it's nice to see.
Okay. Yeah. Let me pull up the. I'm looking at the Genesis Land ones. That one doesn't seem like it's done as much as some of the others in the
Yeah,
last month.
yeah, that's
Um.
because Land went through a reveal. You
Mhm.
can, I
Was
believe,
this a reveal?
yeah, it would have to be. So the reason why I guess it hasn't is because there's so many different sorts of assets within the collection. So it's definitely possible that the average value of a land is like 0.7 or something. It's just that the floor is just
Yeah.
like it's a
I mean,
mixture of like resources on a single land.
so let's just take the wolf. Let's just take the name out of it and look at this as we do any other project. Reveal happened here. Like with
Hmm.
anything, floor price is always going to drop post reveal because we learn about rarity. And I know with the wolf game land, like the ones that have the structure, the barn on
Yeah,
it, trade at a premium. So I mean, we saw a drop from 0.5 to 0.3. Usually a 50% drop is not
yeah,
uncommon. That was right around that. But if we look at it from this like kind of local bottom around 0.3, 0.275, that's back up 0.1 ETH. So that's back up 33% in a month. I mean, that's not bad, especially during this market. So like if you look at it without context, you might see like, oh, down 7.7%
hmm,
in the last month. That's not good. But if you add we need context, always matters here. If you add that context of, oh, well, that includes a reveal, and now we're
yeah.
slowly churning back up, I think that sheds a more favorable light on it. Volume is obviously high post reveal. It's been kind of chopping. The
It's
one
higher
thing,
than before reveal. Isn't that interesting?
when was reveal, but reveal is right around here.
Yeah. So the volume that's currently traded on a daily is higher than before the reveal,
Okay, gotcha. Okay, yep, yeah, that's
which is
interesting.
interesting.
If we look further out, I wonder what that looks like. Yeah, that's actually very true. Like that land, for a while,
Yeah.
I think no one really knew what was going on. There were a few days, a few spiked days, but yeah, okay, that's good. The one thing that
Yeah, holders.
is definitely holders, and that can
And
be
you know
said for a
why?
lot of projects right now. Why is that?
There are many whales in Wolf game.
Did AJ
Seed.
Vaynerchuk just buy up like half of the land?
It's actually AJ. I don't think AJ is such a massive player. What I do know is that Seed Phrase has like 800 lands or something. So
Damn.
that's almost like, that's a big portion of the entire supply. So
Okay.
I don't think this is as big as a problem as it normally would be, for the reasons being they tweeted a few days ago that you're able to delegate. So you're able to hire people to work on your land,
Hmm.
and I assume they'll gain they'll get a cut. So the collectors, if you're like a massive whale, you do benefit from having a lot. So I like, they are incentivized to keep them, to have people working on them, like, because I assume these Oxy refugees need a place to go, right? So I mean, looks good in my opinion. It does suck to see it go down, but that's just because you saw it with the volume. The volume was low. It was primarily whales just sweeping them up every now and then. I
Okay.
believe Seedface himself kept down 0.3 floor for months. Every time it hit 0.3, I was like, I guess I'll buy 50 more. So that's pretty interesting. But land is by far the asset that has gained the least, I think.
Okay. Interesting. Well, that's good to see. For Wolf Game, I want to going from one of your favorite projects to one of my favorite projects. Let's talk Renga now, because I've been beating this drum for a long
Hmm.
time. We saw a good run up last weekend. We saw a subsequent pullback over the last week. We'll come back to that chart. Let's look at we'll go to floor price. We saw that big run up last week. Floor got to 3.2. It dipped down. It was right. It hit that 2 ETH floor and it bounced pretty strong off of that.
Hmm.
And now it's running again. This number needs to be updated. It'll be updated soon enough. But floor is at like almost 2.9 again. Volume is picking back up. We're seeing unique ownership. This has been the MO for Renga, and this is why I was not concerned about this pullback at all. Was, if we look back to when the project first started revealing in mid-September, we've seen a 27% increase in unique holder count. And the MO has been, we see, and I wish we're going to work on being able to stack some charts, but if you overlay the floor price chart on top of this unique owner chart, we see that, these dips happen, but when the dips happen, this ownership moves sideways. And then we see some pumps and some sideways and some pumps and some sideways. So this has been the MO. And it's just how I think we're going to continue to see it. Like, are we going to see price go up only? No, like that's never the case with anything. But I think there needs to be context, or once again, around like the unique owner count. Like I made a tweet earlier, like, yeah, I want to see unique ownership count go up. And someone's like, yep, still very low. I'm like, no shit. That's exactly what I said. If it was going down, I would be concerned. But the fact that it's not going down, I'm still very confident in this long term. I actually just bought another Renga right before the show started because I saw one that I've been eyeing for a while, and I think we're going to see another run up, and I'm willing to make that bet on it. But and if you want to call this me pumping my bags, whatever, that's fine. I just think that this is I think this is going to be a really good bet. And months from now, people are going to be like, I can't believe I passed up on Renga 2.5, 3 ETH. Like I know it's not a small amount of money, but I think it's a really, really good bet right now. Not financial advice.
I mean, it makes sense that you're still talking about it, right? Like, I mean, if you called it at point something, and then naturally, I think it's normal for you to still be talking about it when it hits 2 point something, because I guess like you were right. So a victory lap is definitely deserved. So could you check volume? Because I think that volume has been really, really high for over a week, I think. Like,
yeah, we definitely saw a pullback in volume. I'll go to the 1 month.
It's still high. Every day is high though.
We've had a few, and these days, these low volume days, we need to be able to overlap we'll talk to our dev team, overlap unique holder count, volume, and floor price, because it matches up perfectly where the time where floor is going down, but ownership is moving sideways is right in this area where volume is a little bit lower. And then once we see ownership start to go up, price go up, that's why when, all those things kind of come together. And, the volume on this one has been really strong, but there still hasn't been, we've seen some obscene volume days on projects like Azuki, Bored Ape, and Mutant Ape, obviously, Moonbirds, Doodles, Other Side. We've seen these obscene like 10,000 ETH volume days. And in these current market conditions, I don't think we're going to see that with Renga, but I do think that we will see plenty more of these, 1 to 2,000 ETH volume days in the future.
Yeah, and the funniest part of this is that even the low volume days, as you call it, is still, high in this current ecosystem. What do you call it? Like current market conditions, like 400 ETH on a single day. That's like, what is that? Like 80, 90 sales or something? Oh, wait, no, even
I want to say that on October 2nd here, I'm going to pull up the OpenSea volume, because that's what our numbers pull from. But if we look at OpenSea volume on October 2nd, it was 8,900 ETH. So Renga accounted for like 20% of OpenSea volume in a day on this day right here. That's pretty wild. That's crazy. So, I don't think that, I think, and I can we'll get in later on, like I said before, about like what we're looking for and how we find some of these projects that we really like, because that'll, a lot of my Renga checked a lot of those boxes for me. But let's move on to some other stuff for now. We've talked about Renga enough for the time being. So we have some news to talk about. Another good week for Cool Cats, man. The new CEO, that announcement was well received. It didn't do a ton for the floor price.
Yeah.
But why don't you go ahead with what happened this week and some of the moves that the team is making?
Yeah, the announcement for the new CEO didn't move the market too much. Like, when I heard that there was going to be potentially like a new CEO announcement being made, I expected the floor to do more than it did. Like it didn't do too much immediately. It was more like a 1-2, you know, like a day after something started doing a little bit better. And then a few days ago, they announced that, in their words, Cool Cats has a strategic partnership with Animoca. What is it? What is the official name? Animoca Brands, Animoca Studios.
Yeah,
Do you know?
Animoca Brands.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, partnership, whatever. I guess, you know, like, sure. Then I opened the article because, you know, you should actually read the articles and not just the headlines. It's a little fun fact. And it said like that Animoca Brands has made like an investment in Cool Cats. So that's a little bit more than a strategic partnership, I think. Maybe that the description doesn't really do it a lot of justice, but they are going to be talking about it soon. They haven't revealed anything really. I forgot the date, but the CEO is going to be talking on like a spaces with one of the Animoca people. Forgot the name. I googled them to check their function, but I couldn't find a whole lot about it. So hopefully they talk more specifics. They give maybe more like of a reason why this happened. Maybe the game of Cool Cats is involved as well. I guess we have to wait and see. And the floor did very very well. I mean, it took like a day. It didn't pump a whole lot immediately. I think floor was around 2.7 and it went to like 2.8 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then a day after it went up to like 3.4, 3.3, I believe. So yeah, not a good day for Cool Cats. I still wonder though, because if you're one of the Cool Cats holders that have bought at like 10 to 15 ETH, I wonder how they will respond to this. You know, like I wonder if they can understand that this is also just like market sentiment.
Oh God, I got to pull this up real quick.
What happened?
So I saw the head of Animoca bought a rare cool cat. He bought one of the Bob Ross TV face ones. Do you see that?
Hmm.
Yeah. So Yisu, I believe he's the head of Animoca. He bought this Bob Ross one.
Yeah.
That's why I made that face. I just scrolled down. He paid like 19 ETH for it. The guy he bought it from bought it for 59 ETH last year.
Oh, a
Oh
year. Yeah.
God. And let's see. Let's take a quick look at how much
Yeah.
ETH
How much ETH?
was
Yeah.
trading for. ETH was 3,000 at that time.
That's rough.
That is
Also,
a oh.
it's nice that you put it up. So is he the CEO of Animoca?
I believe so.
So the CEO of Cool Cats having a call with the CEO of Animoca then. So I guess that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that they would give some news during that call.
I would assume so.
During
I
that
mean, I guess
spaces, I would think like if the CEOs are coming together, I hope I would imagine that there's going to be some information shared with holders and the community in
imagine
general.
imagine if they're just like, yeah, let's have a market recap, guys. You know, like they're gonna do like a little episode together for no reason.
Yep, just they're going to try to be like us. Yeah, I mean, this floor at 3.3 is looking pretty good, and there's not a ton to get it back to 4 either.
It went under 2 ETH as well at one point.
Yeah, this was another God, Dan, you've been on fire during this bear market. Like,
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. It's
I
working out though.
well, I mean, you've had conviction and you have a thesis around what you want to do, and you're not afraid to execute on it. I think that's very strong on your part.
Yeah,
So
and
there's Cool Cats. Anything else you want to touch on there?
nothing really with Cool Cat, but more like conviction. So remember that at mid one pass I got from Wolfgame for staking with G Money.
Hmm.
I believe that pass went down to 4 ETH now, and I sold it at 3K ETH, I believe, for like 12 and a half. So,
Oh,
oof.
Dan,
So
that's
yeah, I don't know.
good on you, buddy. Good
Yeah, it's a
job
good. Yeah,
there. That's pretty
it's been
impressive.
a very good bear market for me. Like I'm not sure. I don't hold a lot of mid tier projects, I think, And yeah, I mean, maybe I'm lucky, maybe maybe I'm skilled. I
Could
would
be.
think it's the
Hey, I
first one.
think
A little
I
mix.
personally, I think it's, a little bit of both. Like, I got lucky with apes. I had conviction, but there was still plenty of luck involved. I think you put yourself in a position, and most people don't probably have the stones to stick it out. So let's move on a little bit. I want to talk about the 3AC, their art collection, Starry Night Capital,
Hmm.
and the process going on there, because they are in the very beginning stages of liquidating it. And what I'm most interested in is what happens with Dmitry Cherniak's The Rapture. So
Yeah.
we've talked about this before. We bring it up like once every couple of months. So for anyone new watching or listening, I'll give you a quick background. Dmitry Cherniak is the creator of Ringers, one of the highest value art blocks projects. He's a generative artist, incredibly talented. His work with Ringers it's very simple, but it's very clean, and it has that historical value of like being early high quality generative art. Last December, I believe it was December 15th or 16th, he released a project called Rapture. And you had to be a holder of one of his other pieces called like Eternal Pump, I want to say,
Yeah.
to
I think so.
the ability to mint one of the Raptures. And there's only 50 pieces of Rapture right now. Here's the thing. There's a 1 year 1 year stipulation that is built into the smart contract. And this is where, NFTs can get really fun, is how artists can combine the visual element with the coding side of smart contracts. So it is built into the Rapture smart contract that if within the first year of the Rapture project existing, any single holder lists, accepts an offer on, or transfers a piece, then the remaining 616 Raptures that are available potentially will be minted out. If no one sells, transfers, or lists one of the pieces at the end of the year, the contract basically erases the other 616 pieces. There will only ever be 50 Raptures in existence. We are almost 10 months into this, and there's still only the 50 pieces. No one has transferred, listed, or sold one. But one of those pieces was held by Three Arrows Capital in their Starry Night Capital wallet. And now the question becomes, during this liquidation process, will one of those pieces be transferred or sold? Because we've seen pieces from the collection being transferred into a different wallet that will then be liquidated to, pay their debts that they owe all these people from the Three Arrows, disaster.
Yeah. So I see a collection on OpenSea that's called Rapture. Is this not the same Rapture I'm thinking of, right? What is the
It's
original? What is the extra?
WRAP, the
Right.
Rapture.
Because I
Yeah,
was sitting here
it's
kind of in shock because I was at this OpenSea page where there was Rapture and it was like an art blocks thing, and I saw items 1K and I was like, did we miss something?
nope. So if you look at the history, if you go to activity on OpenSea and you look at sales, listings, or transfers, the only activity was from Dmitry Cherniak's account when he transferred the Raptures 10 months ago on December 16th and 17th. So there has been no activity on it. I think that from what I've heard, Vincent Van Doe, who is the guy who curated this collection for Three Arrows Capital, is working with whoever is in charge of liquidating it. And I believe he is, informing them that, like, hey, if we move this piece, it is going to greatly devalue it. So we need to wait a couple months. So I don't think that anything is going to happen, but it is a really interesting situation to monitor, one that I've been following pretty closely, because I think that, for how simple, if you go and look at these items, the Rapture pieces, for as simple as Ringers were, there's a lot more going on here, but they're still pretty cool. And Ringers, I believe there's 999 of them, or there's 1,000 of them. The floor on that is 60 ETH. Granted, it is his, I believe his first generative art piece on Art Block, so that's usually going to carry a premium. However, I think we can look at the market cap of that, compare it to Rapture, and on a per item basis, these items could carry a lot of value into the future.
Yeah, it's something I mentioned before on this show, and I mentioned that I think the Rapture has potential to be the most expensive like art block project. And another pretty interesting thing you can argue is that, does the Rapture currently have any value? Like if you had to estimate like a value for the Rapture, what do you price it at? Like if you're going to like liquidate it, like it's the highest offer now is 5 ETH. Is that you price it at 5 ETH?
No,
Like
it
it's
has to
interesting to
be.
think about.
I think there's because of the blockchain, we can look back on this, and there's always narrative that drives value of art. By no means am I saying I'm an art expert. Like I know very little, but it's not necessarily the earliest pieces of art that are the most valuable, but some of that have the best story behind them. And this story of, as far as I know, there's never been another collection like this where the size of the collection was dictated by the actions of the holders. I think that's a very unique use of a smart contract. And so I'd say from that standpoint, like that will carry a premium with it. I think if we see there's, floor price right now, 60 on ringers times 1,000 pieces. Let's divide that by a 50. I mean, if you want to compare the market cap of ringers to Rapture, that would put a
Yeah,
Rapture piece at a 1,200 ETH floor. I don't think that is realistic at all, but I could see it being at like 100 or 150 ETH floor. We've seen Fidenzas that are 1,000 piece collection from Tyler Hobbs trade. And you can see the 3 Arrows capital account. They paid like 300 plus ETH for some of their Fidenzas. That's crazy.
yeah.
That's banana land. So, like, would it surprise me if Raptures were at that level if there's only 50 of them? Not at all.
If there's only 50 of the Rapture, I can see them be 1,000 ETH. I don't know if they're gonna
I
sell,
mean, yeah,
but
it could be one of those things where maybe like a couple of years sell, or if we go back into a bear market, we see some activity there. But I think the people who hold those for a full year are not going to be rushing to accept a 75 ETH offer on it. I think that they're ones that will hold that for a long time and look to make a pretty penny on it.
yeah. We talked about this before. I hope no one transfers, man. I'm just scared. Like I'm just afraid that it's 666. So that's like math. 616. I'm not sure. More that's
Yeah,
going to be released, and that's going to be
yeah,
like it's literally going to be the Rapture. Because imagine the amount of like FOMO that's going to happen. It's going to be absolutely insane. So I hope it doesn't happen. I hope because it's only like 2 more months, right? 2 months and a little bit more. They have to
yeah. Like
wait.
2 months and a week and a half. I think like December 16th or 17th. It was the transfers I was looking at were like December 16th and 17th. So right around that time this year will be the end of that 1 year mark. I'm sure there's gonna be like a countdown to it, and I will be really interested to see what like what kind of offers come in on these pieces if it lands on only 50. That'd be
Imagine
pretty
if they
cool.
do transfer it, and it's all going to be broke, and because they like transfer it to like liquidate, and they're like, oh, guess I broke it. It's gonna be
So
very,
I,
very, very
oh,
embarrassing.
oh, for sure.
Yeah, I would be mad.
So that would be pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Interested in that. Let's talk about a few more things. We have probably a label, which is I'll let you dive into this one. This collaboration with Warner Records.
Yeah, though I mean I don't know too much about it, but the long story
Okay.
short, this is apparently the first, or like I guess the biggest. It's probably not the first, but I mean the biggest Web3 music label that's being created with probably nothing, featuring Warner Records, which is a pretty big music label, Warner Records.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what they're gonna do. Do you happen to know if Eminem and Snoop Dogg are signed under Warner Records? Probably not, right?
No, no, they're not. They're Snoop is one of the founders of Death Row, I believe. So I
Oh
think
yeah,
that he
and
would
I think
not
Eminem
be.
is his own as well.
Yeah.
So
So I don't think they would be involved in this. Um, I mean, it's cool to see, bigger brands getting involved. Their music NFTs are definitely something that are talked about all the time. I know of another one called Block Tones, created by Gino the Ghost, who is a fellow Bored Ape holder, in some group chats with him. He tours and is, a very successful recording artist, and producer. So I think that we're seeing some progress there. We also had this Binance hack that is way over my head how this worked, but basically Binance was hacked for 100 million.
Kinda like yes, but also no. They got hacked for nothing actually.
Okay.
Someone managed to trick Binance into sending him 1 million tokens twice, and they did that. There are some. It's also note. So do know this is also way above my head. But what I do understand from all this is that he managed to like forge an agreement essentially with their system that basically allowed them to green light the transaction to themselves for like 1 million Binance tokens twice, which is about 500 million in tokens. But they transferred this from nothing. They created $500 million worth of tokens. So they didn't steal from that. Yeah, they stole from them, but they didn't take any current existing token and stole it. So obviously Binance is like, what the hell? So they paused the trading of the token, rightfully so. But the hacker managed to swap 110 million worth of tokens into another token. I'm not sure what or which one. So the question is whether or not they're able to liquidate that one. But yeah, good luck, I guess, running.
Yeah, that's it's pretty wild. We saw some news as well this week from Zach XBT about the people who who ran the Beeple scam, where they scammed people out of like $400 or $50,000. Like there's all sorts of things out there, and this is one of the problems that we're going to continue to run into with mass adoption through NFTs is just how easy it is to scam people and how complicated some things are, and how the centralized nature of things may not be as bad as people make it out to be from a consumer protection standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very lucky to come from a background where I've dealt with scams many times. So I've never, even my hot wallet has never been hacked, which is very concerning almost. I mean, I've minted some degen stuff on my hot wallet, and it's honestly, if I had to guess if it's currently hacked or not, I would say it's most likely hacked. But I just don't know yet. Like that's the most likely scenario. So yeah, I mean, be safe.
Yes, for sure. Please be safe. So let's wrap it up today. I said at the top that I'm feeling bullish right now. I know that you kind of feel that same butterflies in your stomach, if you will, Daniel. At this point in time, I've deployed capital lately. I know you have a bit as well. And we've talked in the past about like the things that we've looked for in projects. That was months ago, and this market is constantly evolving. So what are you looking for now? How has your buying process or your criteria, or however you want to phrase it, how has that changed? And what are some of the things that you look for now when deciding whether or not you want to invest in an NFT? Once again, nothing that Daniel and I say is financial advice. Sorry, sorry to cut you off, but I wanted to get that in one more time.
It is very, very important. We're just giving our humble opinion on these things. It's interesting because I've personally done this for a year and a bit, and it was much more. Well, it was degen in other ways. I mean, back in the past, you would mint something for 0.04 and then pay 0.05 in gas. Like you would absolutely go bankrupt minting stuff. Now we've seen, for the last few months, we've seen so many free mint projects. I wouldn't say I haven't minted something in pretty long time, or maybe I've done it once or twice. I barely mint. What I look for a lot now for like actual purchases is I look for accountability. I need, like, a team being doxxed isn't a guarantee of accountability. They can still soft rock. They can still take your money and run. Essentially, it's easy to forge a like fake ID or like fake information, fake LinkedIn, all that stuff. People go to extreme lengths to scam people. I look for accountability. I look for historical significant companies, 9gag, Nike, Adidas. I think they're all solid bets. I think they're safe. I guess that's also how you can describe it. I'm looking for safer plays, less potential upside, I guess, but safer in general. I think it's something I touched on earlier today as well, and that these projects, they also go up when general sentiment goes up of the entire market. And I think if you're bullish on NFTs, I think that's a good bet to make, right? Like, instead of gambling on these profile pictures, I think it's definitely a play to gamble on the most like expensive, or not most like popular assets. The other side, for example, I think that's one of the other assets that will either go up or down depending on general market sentiment. And yeah, so I think if you think the market's going to improve, I think stuff like that's also an interesting play. And that's sort of the stuff I'm looking for now in projects. I need it to be fun. I need there to be some kind of story. I need to be interesting. I like a little bit of mystique, I guess. Not too much though, and I want there to be good communication. I need a team that's down to earth. I want the community to not be moon boys. If the community is too much like cell shaming, too much on Discord being like, "Let's go, we gonna go up, yeah, woo," because they're the first people that are gonna go out, right? They see the next like pretty number, like 0.05 to 0.1, and they're like, "Well, I guess I'll sell one to cover the cost, and then I'll see what happens."
I love these
which is fine to do.
These impersonations you're doing are really something today. I'm a big fan of this. I don't know what's going on, but I like it.
Yeah. But yeah, long story short, that's kind of what I'm looking for. It needs to be interesting. It's very easy to get bored in this market. So lately it's been more fun. I think projects don't need to take themselves too seriously. I think that the main thing is it has to be fun. It has to be fun and engaging.
Yeah, I think too many people got away from the under promising and over delivering, and felt like they had to promise you the world in like to try to differentiate, but by doing that they all sounded the same.
Yeah.
Right? Like it got to the point where everyone was releasing a game and a comic book and a TV series and a movie and a token. Like everyone was offering the same things, trying to be different, but they were all being exactly the same. So, for me, I 100% agree on backing founders. And I've obviously been talking about Renga a lot. I don't want to like be a broken record here, but it ticked a lot of the boxes for me. One of those being, let's start at the top with, the founder, if you will. And Dirty Robot, the founder of Renga, he's been in the art world, creating art, creating story for over a decade, since the early 2000s. He's been around, and, Art of Seasons and Renga has been a big like culmination for him. Another thing for me is seeing, I've been around for a year, over almost 2 years now in the NFT space. I've gotten to know some really sharp collectors. And if I see people I respect talking about it, people I know aren't, shillers or pump and dumpers, like people I genuinely have, respect for talking about something, I'm going to give it, multiple looks. And that was what happened back in April when I first, I bought my first Art of Seasons piece back then. And I've, held it ever since. I haven't sold it. You can see right behind me here on this wall. That is one of the physicals from Art of Seasons. When I received that physical in the mail, that gave me even more confidence, because video doesn't do it justice, but up close, it's a beautiful piece of art. The colors, the textures, like everything about it, like they did not just print off like what it exactly looks like on screen. They made sure to add a certain amount of detail. And it's that attention to detail with the physicals, with the art in the PFPs and in the Art of Seasons that gave me more confidence. Another thing, and I hate the term like, oh, it was early Bored Ape vibes. But what I did feel with Renga was something similar to Bored Ape, in that when I first got into Bored Apes, I really enjoyed just scrolling through the OpenSea page, not looking at floor price, but looking at the different traits, looking at combinations of traits. What did I like best? What caught my eye? And I found myself doing that exact same thing with Renga. Like I was looking through and like, okay, I think I like the Alchemist more than the Delinquents and the Golems, and the Samurais are cool, but this ninja combination is really like, there are all these little things that I found myself like really drawn to. And I think, that is something to be mindful of as well. It's like, if you keep going back to something because you like the way it looks and you think it's really cool, odds are there are plenty of other people who feel the same way. Like, I'm not some well-seasoned art collector. I'm just a regular guy who likes certain things, and there are going to be other regular guys and gals who also like those similar things. And if that's the case, I would like to make a conviction play on that now and not wait until it becomes a trendy thing. So that's kind of a roundabout way of giving, like, the way that I'm viewing things right now is like, am I drawn to it? Just like you said, are there teams behind it who are trying to do something cool? I don't know exactly where Renga is going from either a price standpoint or what they're building with the project. But I do know that it's being run by someone who has been building this story and creating art for a very long time. And I don't believe that he's suddenly going to stop doing that, especially with all the success he's having now. And I've also, one thing I think is cool, a lot of people who have gotten into this, who found Dirty Robot within the last 6 months, like myself, are diving deeper into his past work and to other versions of his current work. Like, he just put out a graphic novel, and I ordered a copy of it off of Amazon. I should be getting here today that I'm going to read. And I know a bunch of other people from the community are doing that too. So you have this like diehard group of people who are really getting into this creator and the story he's telling. And I think that's very powerful, and plenty of other people are going to be joining it as well. So that's some of the reasons I'm so confident in this and the criteria I'm using now. Like, if I find another project that, when I scroll through the art of it on OpenSea and I'm really drawn to it, I'll probably jump into that too. I haven't found that other thing yet.
Yeah. So do you also experience that you're compared to a year ago? Do you also experience that you're less looking for new projects to mint?
Yeah, I haven't been doing a ton of minting. Yeah, there hasn't really been a whole lot of things that have, there was one that I didn't get in on because it was a whitelist one called Spirit Gates. I know that has been in the works for a long time. The creator behind it has been in the NFT, building this project out for the last year or so. That was one I was hoping to mint, but I missed out on it. And I believe it's already revealed. But outside of that, like, nothing has really grabbed my attention to dive deep into a mint.
Yeah, I have the same, because projects need to be unique, and that's very difficult nowadays. If you're a free mint project, odds are you're using a special font on Twitter, and if you do that, it's an immediate dodge for me. Too
Yeah.
many free mint projects have like the special lettering, and then it's just like you already know what type of direction is gonna go. Like, the odds of them doing some sort of like mutant drop afterwards or something, it's very high. And that's one trend we didn't touch on earlier in this show, and that's because I think you talked about how how there were like a lot of projects who were like doing the same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Every project was also doing a mutant like second drop or something.
Yeah.
I don't see the need for multiple like newer drops in anyway. I think it's just kind of like I guess Bored Ape did it with mutants, right? I think that kickstarted the whole companion drop.
No, it was
I'm
before.
not sure.
It was. I mean, it was really me. Like, Bored Ape took the lead and followed CryptoPunks because they did Meebits. Like, Bored Ape pretty much did it to a T, because Meebits did the drop. Get one free one per punk, but then they also did the like 3 ETH sale, and Bored Ape did a Dutch auction starting at 3 ETH, just like me. So it was like pretty much they copied what Larva Labs did with CryptoPunks when they did. And it's just funny now that Yuga Labs now owns CryptoPunks and Meebits. But yeah, that was where I believe they got their inspiration.
Gotcha. Yeah, and then the entire NFT space got their inspiration from I guess Bored Ape, and then now we're here. But yeah, I mean,
now we're here.
It's really hard for me to find new projects. I mean, I've been on the lookout less, but I feel like a lot of projects just don't catch my eye, like you mentioned as well. It's the most projects I buy nowadays is because I see them on secondary, and then I'm like, I kind of like evaluate like, is this worth it or not, and then I do my research. Less minting, but I guess the more you mint, I think it's still a gamble, right? Like I think maybe when I was a little bit like newer in the NFT space, I really liked having like stuff revealed. But I guess it's just like that rarity, like gamble, right?
Yeah.
And you're losing more often that you're winning. So I guess that's why I've resorted to buying more in secondary.
Yeah, I mean, I think the people who are in it to flip just they take those small little wins, and I see what people, and like, no disrespect to anybody, but like it just is not worth it for me to try to flip something for 0.005 or 0.01.
Yeah.
I would rather find stuff I like, because that's not a game that I'm probably going to win. Like there are other people who are going to beat me at that game. But for me, it's like, can I find stuff that I have conviction holding for months or, years even, and take that approach. Like I think you need to, as we go into this next, as we, we're in Q4 now, heading into next year, if you're in this market still, I applaud you because it has not been easy to stick around. But like, are you sticking to your game plan, or have you found yourself, changing up your strategy and what you're best at to try to chase losses? Because that's the case, you need to reevaluate things. Like it becomes very easy to chase losses, and I've found myself doing it too. Like I've had to check myself and be like, nope, you don't need to be, trying to swing trade stuff, like things like that. That's not your game. That's not a game you're going to win. So I think for a lot of people, like take some time and do it quarterly, monthly, whenever, and
Mm-hmm.
just kind of look at the buys and sells you've made recently. And hindsight is obviously 2020, but look at your process, not the result behind it, right?
Yeah, I mean that comes natural to us, I believe, because we both have played a lot of poker, so we
Mhm.
know that you can make all the right decisions, right? Play a hand exactly like you always would, exactly like it's recommended to, and then it doesn't work out the way it does, but you had a 55% chance to get it in good or whatever. And then yeah, sometimes you get wrecked, but like you mentioned, it's the process that's the most important. And aside from that analogy, it's very important to have a clear goal as well. So for Wolf Game, even though I'm very very bullish, I will be selling half of my entire bag before the game launches, and that's just me playing it safe, right? I personally think that there isn't much that can go wrong before the game goes live. I think most of the very very bearish cases happen when the game goes live and it's not fun. I think that's the most bearish scenario, and I'll make sure that if it's not fun, I won't get wrecked. Like I never expected me to hold this one asset for a year. I've bought it uh last December, and I thought I was late. That's the funniest part. I thought I was late on buying the assets, and it was a year ago. So yeah, just being transparent. It's fine to sell stuff as well. Like I'm selling my most
Yep.
my most bullish asset. I mean, I still keep a lot, but it's important to at least know what you're going to do. It's important to have
Yep.
an asset, look at it, be like, I'm gonna sell this eventually, or I'll be holding this indefinitely, or just think about stuff actively and don't. Well, you can sit and wait on stuff for a long time, but it's just important to have like a goal in mind at least.
And I think, I've sold some of my Ranga pieces like
Yeah.
that I've liked, but I didn't love. And it was to A, take a little bit of profit off the table, but B, move into other ones that I find, more enjoyable that I want to hold long term. Like I'm holding 7 Ranga right now. 4 of them are ones I don't plan on selling anytime soon. The other 3 are listed for sale. And if I sell those, I'll pocket some of the money, save it for taxes, and then put some of it, back to work either in Ranger or somewhere else. Like you can trade these market cycles in NFTs. You don't need to trade
Yeah.
them every day, but you can see that momentum. You can look at the charts that we have over on FLOLiO.com and see some of these patterns of, when do things pump? When do they start to trickle back down? When can I make these, 1.5 ETH gains that over time will add up? So it's all part of the game we're playing. Having, be patient, have a good process, and make sure to watch Web3 and Me presented by FLOLiO. So I think on that note, we are going to end today's show. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I can't believe we've gone almost an hour now, but it was a good conversation. I really enjoyed it, as always. Dan, any final words for the people today before you head off to the Riviera?
I'd say, thanks for watching. I mean, we currently have 5 active viewers, which is really nice to see. Because we started as per usual with 0 viewers today, which is normal and makes sense. But it's nice to see that the further we went along, the more people stuck. So hopefully our advice is sound, and hopefully you can do
But none of
something
it's
with it.
financial.
None of it's financial, but it's a spiritual advice.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you everyone for watching. Dan and I love doing this show. We've done it with very few viewers. We'll do it for as long as people want to keep watching. So for Dan, for the team at FLOLiO, one more time, like today's show, subscribe to the channel, share it far and wide, go to FLOLiO.com. I know I asked a lot of you right there. I appreciate it if you would do one or all of those things, because it really means the world to us. Thank you everybody for watching. For Dan, for the team at FLOLiO, I am Jeremy. Have a great weekend. We will see you next time.
Bye-bye.